Welcome to Traveling Towards Wealth, the podcast where money meets adventure and freedom is always on the horizon. I'm Sarah Jones, financial coach, full-time traveler, houseplant lover, sourdough baker, and your guide to building a life that's as rich in experiences as it is in peace of mind. Each month, we dive into a new theme, whether it's real money stories, the ins and outs of full-time travel, building a business or multiples while on the road, or finding wellness and simplicity wherever you are. Here, you'll get practical tips, honest conversations, and a gentle push to spend, save, and live according to your values, not someone else's rules. If you're ready to design a life you truly love, one where you can travel more, stress less, build financial confidence, shop safer, and wake up every day feeling like you're exactly where you're meant to be, then you're in the right place. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's start traveling towards wealth, one story at a time. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here with me. Today I want to talk a little bit about something that I have not heard anybody else talk about. So maybe other people are, but let's just be honest, I'm not listening to however millions of podcasts there are out on the planet. But because you know me as the person that talks about money, travel, building businesses on the road, living simply, today I want to talk about something, again, that I don't hear other people talking about. And that is if you have a product-based business and you are traveling, whether that be full-time or part-time or just for some specific periods of time, and you want to sell your products on the road, there's several things that I think you should be aware of that we didn't consider. Even as the finance person, we didn't necessarily consider it. And I think it's hard to know all the bits and pieces, right, that you're going to encounter. But when you're building a business on the road and you have a product-based business, certainly product-based, sometimes service-based, depending on the service that you're offering, right? But you're really coming into different markets of buyers. We were in the South Texas coast a couple of winters ago, and we did a couple of markets there with our metal printing business. And one market was very small, but we made a significant amount of money there. And another market, it was an outdoor market. The first one was indoor. The second one was a large outdoor market during spring break. And we paid quite a bit more to be a part of that market. Saw gobs and gobs of people, but the percentage of people that purchased was far less. And we were in kind of a touristy location. We've done a market in my hometown at one of the big events that happens that people from all over the world actually go to in this small town. And we sold only a couple of items, and that was to people that I knew. And so it's really interesting where I don't believe that, and maybe there's somebody else out there that has much better experience at this than I do, but I think it's hard to know exactly what your audience is or who you're going to encounter in each new location that you get to. And so when you're traveling, take that into consideration when you're wanting to sell your goods, when you're looking at markets or craft fairs or different expos, right? It's fine to know who your target client is, who your target buyer is, but sometimes it's hard to know how to find them in the new areas that you find yourself in. And that can greatly change your profit, gross revenue, right? Another thing that sometimes people forget about is different tax rates. Every location has a different tax rate, right? So you're looking at when you are selling a physical product, the different tax rates, county rates, city rates, and state tax rates when it comes time to, when you're filing your income tax and your sales tax, right? And just keeping track of all of that can feel really overwhelming. In fact, I talked to my CPA about it, and Sarah, he goes, we don't even handle sales tax across because it is so time consuming, and rates and towns regulations change literally all the time. And so he partners with another company, and forgive me, I don't remember what it is. I'd have to go back and look it up. I should have done that before I jumped on to share this message today. He said, look for a company if you're wanting to travel or you're selling physical goods in a lot of different places and collecting sales tax. Have an idea beforehand or have it set up beforehand. It will make life 100 times easier. But it's important to be aware of, because as a financial coach, when I'm helping my clients put together their business finances and their systems, we're saving back a specific amount of money out of gross revenue to cover taxes. And knowing what the different tax rates are in each location greatly impacts how you run your money system, right? It impacts how your system functions. And so making sure that you are accounting for all of that. Some people choose to collect sales tax, and some don't collect it but then pay it. I think there's some regulations on that. Don't do something. I'm not telling you to do one or the other, but just be aware that even if you're collecting that and paying it in, you have to have really good accounting. Right? You have to have really good accounting and a really good financial system in place, so you know exactly per area, per market, how much sales tax you collected. You have to keep track of when you paid it, how much you paid, because all of that goes into your yearly financials as well. Right? And just being aware of different tax rates in different locations is really important when you are traveling and selling a physical product on the road. Another thing to be aware of is, do you have to have a sales tax license for different places? Some places require you to, some others don't. So again, knowing that ahead of time, what is that going to cost? This should all be factored into how you price your products. The cost to get into the market. Again, sales tax. Do you need anything special? Some markets require special equipment and a special setup to keep everything the same and cohesive. And so knowing how you're going to pay for those things, how you're going to cover it, and to make sure that you're making all of your money, your investment in that specific market back, is an important part of building a financially healthy, financially sustainable business, especially while being on the road. And then you want to also take into consideration, do you have room to carry all of this additional stuff? James and I specifically don't do a lot of markets because we don't have the room to carry an extra generator, a big zip-up tent that protects out all of our printing and heat press and all of our electronic equipment. So we specifically don't do a lot of markets because we don't want to purchase all of those extra items because we don't have a place to carry it. So another thing that I think people don't think about is that when you are going into different areas, you might keep the same vendors, but your shipping costs are likely going to change. It costs more to ship to certain areas than it does others. And so that changes your cost of goods sold, right? And so then therefore it can change then your operating cost. It changes your profit on that specific item. And so just being really aware of what location am I going to be in? What vendors am I using? How does my shipping change? Is it going up? Is it going down? Am I still going to come out, if all of my costs are higher, but I don't change the price of my product? Am I still actually making a profit? Am I still able to pay myself a reasonable salary, a reasonable check off of this market? All things to consider. And I think that we don't think about these things because we get so used to, which is fine, right? This is normal, but we get so used to just being in one spot and getting used to the markets or the expos and the different maybe storefronts that you have some products in, right? Those things don't necessarily change, but when you're on the road, a lot of things change. Also, I am not a tax professional, so don't come at me. Get in contact with your own tax professional on this. But something to be aware of too is if you're going to a location specifically for a show, you probably want to keep track of the mileage to get there, all of your expenses to get there as well, because likely some of those can be used as write-offs on your business. Again, I'm not a tax professional. I'm not saying yes or no. I'm saying it's possible, might be likely, so consult your regular tax professional on that. But this just lets you get into maybe the mindset and the thinking, okay, we want to do some traveling, but we've got shows that we want to do. And so what are some things that I want to be aware of or that I need to be aware of? So I'm building a financially sustainable, financially healthy business. I cannot tell you how many businesses that I work with that are not building financially sustainable businesses. Just because your P&L shows maybe a profit, if you can't show me exactly where that profit is or what it was used on, then it's not profit. It means nothing. It means nothing. I work with my clients to help them actually see where the profit is, to have it tangible in their hands to be able to use it. And to be able to have that happen, then we need to have the pricing down, and we need to be aware of all the different parts and pieces of certainly a product-based or a product-based business. And these are some things that James and I run into. And we don't keep a large inventory on hand. We don't keep a large inventory of things on hand. Weight plays a big part. Metal prints are heavy. All of our equipment is heavy. They take up space. We do not have space as a premium here. So we keep our inventory very low. And some people will say, oh, if you buy in bulk, you're getting a better discount, your profit's higher. And yes and no, but you have to weigh all the costs. Friend, you have to weigh all the costs. Just because you can get something for cheaper in a larger quantity, you also have to weigh the cost of storing it, of transporting it, and what is that adding on. And sometimes it can be more beneficial. If you buy in lesser quantities, you might pay a little bit more, but you don't have the other costs associated with that. You're not storing as much. That's a lot of inventory. That's a lot of dollars sitting there in inventory that aren't making you money. So sometimes I like to work with my clients and say, maybe you've got too much in inventory here. That's money that's sitting idle and it's not moving. So maybe sometimes paying a little bit more for less inventory, that money is getting churned a lot quicker. And you can use it, you're using it to actually make money a lot faster. That money sitting there in inventory, sometimes for years, that's costing you money. That is not making you money, right? And so really just being aware of some of those costs associated with it. I think building a business on the road, making money on the road, the possibilities are absolutely endless. They're absolutely endless. I think sometimes people need to be just open to more ideas and more options, right? I think that sometimes I've seen, and we have certainly done this, we've passed up some of the smaller trade shows, some of the smaller craft shows, and gone for the bigger ones, thinking if we're in front of more people, we're going to sell more, we're going to make more. And that has not been the case for us. We do much better percentage-wise on the smaller shows. And so sometimes you don't know that at first, right? Part of this is just a learning curve, but I like to come in here and just give you some ideas, some options, some things that we have gone through and have learned along the way, because maybe it can help you not have to learn that lesson or not lose money or make a little bit more money on the road. And side note, I've mentioned a lot about working with clients on putting their money plans together, their financial systems to make sure that they're financially healthy. Don't forget, I offer free consultations for anybody, whether you're a business owner or not, when it comes to getting your money really working for you and getting it in order. So that link is in the show notes. Please make sure that you are scheduling a time to chat with me and let's go over your money, because I want to help you get your money working for you and doing the best that it can for you. You work hard for it, right? And we want it to work hard for you at the same time. But those are some of the lessons that we've learned while traveling with a product-based business. There are many lessons, and I will throw in this other one, that having a really solid internet connection when you are at shows with your point of sale system. How are you collecting money? How are you collecting people's information? I will say If you're not collecting people's information when they are buying stuff from you and going into an email list, asking for asking them first, of course, right? But you should be collecting their information because these are customers. It is easier to sell to a current customer than it is to find a brand new one. Have you ever heard that before? It's easier to sell to a current customer than it is to keep finding a brand new one. And so you want to let your current customers know, the people that have purchased from you in the past, you want to be collecting their phone numbers, their email addresses, right? So you can be sending them promotional emails. So you can invite them to the next show. So you can let them know when you've got holiday specials. You can let them know when you've got a new product coming out, right? So I think sometimes people spend so much time focusing on new customers that you have completely lost a lot of money by not selling to your past customers. And so when you're traveling around, especially, collect their contact information. Don't hand them a business card. Nobody wants a business card. It goes right into the trash. Okay? Offer them an opportunity to jump into your VIP list. VIPs, what do VIPs get? Create a fun VIP program. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money, but it can be really enticing to those potential customers and clients, right? And so, again, especially when you're building, because you're not in the same, or when you're traveling and selling your goods, you want to be collecting these contact information from people so you can let them know, hey, I ship. So even though we're not in the area, I know you loved X, Y, and Z. We do ship. Here's our new products. So there are so many ways that you can build a business on the road. So being open to the opportunities, being open to the options, and really looking at, where am I losing money in this deal? And those are some of the few ways. Again, losing money by not knowing if your specific buyer is in the area or going to be showing up at the market in which you are selling your goods, being aware of the different tax rates in each location, different shipping costs from your vendors. Some of your inventory might cost you more money just depending on what part of the country you're in. So factoring all of that in, the time and resources that it takes to get to specific location and for that market. And then also a huge loss of money is not collecting customer information. So you can let your current customers know where you're going to be, what new products you have, and such. So I hope that this episode was a little bit enlightening. Maybe there was some new ideas or new thoughts that you hadn't considered in there. If so, please drop me a note. Let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this. And with that, I will say goodbye for now, my friend. Thanks for joining me on Traveling Towards Wealth. If today's episode sparked something in you, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share this show with a fellow free spirit who's ready to design a life they love. Want to dive deeper? I'd love to connect with you. Book a free call with me to chat about your money, your dreams, and your next steps. No pressure, just a real conversation. You can find the link in the show notes or on my website. And let's stay connected on socials. Follow me on Instagram or Facebook for behind the scenes RV life, money tips, and a little gypsy spirit along the way. Remember, your money, your journey, your rules. I'll see you next Tuesday for another story and some practical steps to help you travel further towards wealth, freedom, and a life you love. Until then, keep wandering, keep growing, and keep spending on what matters most.